Welcome back to my shop. It's Sunday. I didn't get to spend much time in my shop, or I didn't spend any time in my shop yesterday. I had to work, and I just usually too tired when I get off work to come out here and play. Now it's been brought to my attention that I wasn't getting or giving equal airtime to my stickers. Mr. Lowbuck Prepper brought it to my attention that I was always blocking his sticker and giving BC Truck here too much airtime. So I'll sit on this side. But I am open to cash incentives as to which side of the toolbox I sit on. And I want to point out right now that you can't see the calendar. So you pick the side. Got a project today. I've been whining to Tom Lipton that my lathe is just screwed up and will not cut threads. It's giving me fits. So I'll show you what the project is up here on the board. Then we'll go over to the lathe and I'll explain what I do and what happens. Okay, I've got to make an adapter nut. It's threaded 1.5" 12 on the outside and 7/8 14 on the inside. 7/8 14 is the size for the swaging dies or loading dies. They're the same size. 1.5" 12 is what I tap the top of my press because that's the size of the dies for loading 50 BMG. Not that I'll ever load 50 BMG, but this press is capable of it. I got to make that. What I'm making is this so that I can thread, drill and tap the inside, thread the outside on the lathe, single point threading, screw this onto here and up against that shoulder, and then I've got a little block that holds 5C collets that I can put this in and then take it to the mill and mill the flats pretty easy with that. So let's go over and try to cut those threads. Before we go to the lathe and do the work that I want to do, I'll show you where I'm at on this. Right there is my 1.5" 12 tap. I don't know if you can see it in the video here, but let me get my pin here. When I used this tap, I tried to get it started on my mill using the center hole in the top of the tap, and then I took it out to my big blacksmithing vise and clamped this in the vise and turned this with a couple of crescent wrenches with pipes on them. Well, in the process of doing this, the tap went from being square with the hole, it leans this way and this way a little bit, to this way and towards you just a little bit. That's not any good, so I'm going to have to make a new top piece. And to hopefully assure that I don't do this again crooked, I made this piece over here. Let me step in front of you. This drilled and tapped in the bottom so that I can set the tap in the hole, slide this down over the top of it, run bolts up into the bottom of this, snug that up against the top of the press, and that will then hold my tap square with everything, I hope. Now, this is a smaller version of what I'm making. That's 7/8 14 in there, but I need this out here to be 1.5" 12, the same size as that tap. Now here's the first attempt I made at it. I got the inside threaded real nice. I cut it off so I could square or hex the top to make it into a nut, but I don't know if you can tell, those threads are just lousy. I'll be cutting my threads and it'll be looking good, looking good, looking good. Then I'm almost done and it's like I get cross-threaded on my lathe. I don't know what's going on, and it just knocks the threads all out of whack. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to turn the piece that this will actually screw onto to then put it in my 5C collet holder and cut the flats on this. Then I'll have to remake this. Oops. Let's go to the lathe. Okay, we're over here at the lathe, and as you can see, that's my threading dial, and I've got a great big line here, a great big line here, and then if you look real close, there's a very faint line right there. Now, if I try to lock the number 1 right on this line with my little handle, I'll turn the carriage. It won't lock in on that number, but it does lock in on that little one. Now if I lock it in on that one, it doesn't lock in on that one either. So I've been trying to use that little line right there as my spot to lock in for threading. So what I'm thinking is there's really not a whole lot of backlash. If I look at my numbers on my hand wheel, right there I'm on 0. Let me go this way. I'm on 0 right there. Then if I go the other direction, it starts moving 1, 2, 3, 4 at 5, about 6 thousandths. It'll start going the other direction. I don't think that's too bad of backlash. But what I was thinking, the problem with my threading is you're down here, you lock it in and it goes this way, you stop it, back it out, and come back this way, and sometimes I stop like right there and then I'm ready to lock it in. Other times I go too far and then come back this way and I wait to lock it in. I was thinking that just by going this way and then this way, I might be locking in on a different thread on the threading shaft. I don't know what you call it. This and here's the threaded shaft that my half nuts are locking in on. And I'm thinking I might be locking in on the next thread over one way or the other. So when I'm threading this piece that I'm working on right now, I'm going to be careful and come back this way and stop and lock in to cut my next thread. I don't want to go too far and then come back this way to get closer to the end of my piece and then be ready to lock it in. I'm going to try to do it so I'm going this direction, stop, wait for my number, and latch it in. And I'm going to try to use that little tiny mark. So I'll show you here. Pick you up, move you over. I have my piece turned down. I've got a relief cut in here for the thread cutter. I've squared it up with my piece. I've got it set for 14 threads per inch. I will get it set up, do a scratch cut, make sure that it's cutting right, and then we'll get busy. Okay, I have you back behind my lathe now. I'm getting ready. It says for 14 threads per inch. I can engage it on any number. I put blue Sharpie on there so that we both might be able to see what I'm doing better. It says I can engage on any number, but the troubles I've been having, I always try to engage on the same number every time, and I usually use the number 1. So let's set this thing to cut. I'm set at 29.5. We'll just take about a 2/1000ths cut just to scratch it and see. I've got my little thread pitch gauge here to check it. Number 1's coming up. And I'm getting a very little scratch there, but it's enough to see what I need to see. And then I disengage it right there. That looks right to me. See if I can show you. Hope you can see that. Those little points are lined right up with the little scratch mark I just made. Now I'll back it off. Come down here, run it back into 0. See, it doesn't even look like it's on the same mark as I did the first time. It looks like it's over off of it just a little bit. And I engaged right on the number 1 again. Come back out, come down here, go back into 0. Go into, now I've gone in 10/1000ths from my scratch cut. I don't know if you can see the 2 little lines that I now have. There you can see it. Waiting for my number 1 to come back around. And it's not even on the scratch marks. I haven't lubed it because I wanted to be able to see better what's going on. Now I'm going to put some cutting oil on there. See, that is, I didn't even move it in. I'm exactly the same position I was the last time, and now it's cutting another thread. And I've been just backing straight out, going straight down, coming back into 0, and I'm using my compound to go in another 5/1000ths, and all I'm doing is just tearing the shit out of that. Well, I missed 1, so I'll have to wait for the next revolution. I'm just wasting my time. The way I used to do it is like they say to do metric threads, where you do not disengage your thread. But it's just hard to do when you're trying to have a shoulder there. So I've made like, what, 4 or 5 cuts, and not a single one of them has been in the same place. All I'm doing is making a mess out of that. I don't know what to do. That's my problem with threading. I'm doing everything the way I've read and saw on YouTube and in the books and everything I've ever went anywhere and found out anything about. It's not working. Something's wrong with my lathe.